everyone. Thank you again for joining us. My name is Stephanie and I'm here with Mr. Skin and Jacky St. James. Hi, Jacky. How are you?
Hi, great. How are you?
Can't complain. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to have you because we've talked to a lot of different performers, a lot of different actors in the adult industry, but we haven't talked to people really that work behind the scenes like you do. If anyone doesn't know, Jacky is a director, a writer, a producer. She makes her own films. You're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So, as somebody who works primarily, behind the scenes there, how did you get involved in the adult entertainment industry?
I was a huge consumer of porn before I got in, and my guy friends used to send me links to clips of cool porn scenes. And one of my guy friends was like, "You won't believe this is porn." And it was the guys were attractive. There was a storyline. And I was like, whoa, what is this company? When I Googled, I found out that they were looking for writers. And my friend said, as a joke, "Oh, you should submit something and see if you can get it produced." And sure enough, I submitted a script. They ended up producing it. And after that, they kept asking me to write more. And eventually they asked me to direct. So I left corporate America and became a pornographer.
Wow, that's the American dream.
Right.
What were you doing before?
I worked in online advertising for a company based in Australia. So I was doing a lot of that. I was trafficking a lot of banners and things like that.
Yeah, I guess that kind of can work in tandem in a way if you have a little bit of marketing prowess and you can,
Sure.
I'm just trying to connect the dots to your journey. I don't have to. Have you experienced any challenges in the industry so far?
My only real challenge has been, and now we're kind of taking it by storm, but because I was so new, a lot of the industry is like male centric, and so a lot of the camera operators are men, and so as a woman, there's certain things I'd rather see. And a lot of times you butt heads with your camera operator because you'll be like, "Well, I don't want to look at that. I want to look at this because this is what the female gaze wants." So that was really my only challenge. Is it's been wonderful, and I've loved all 10 years I've been in the business.
That's great. So do you find that there's any kind of increase in women working on set?
Oh my gosh, there's so many more women. In fact, we joke because at our AVN Awards, which is basically the porn equivalent to like the Oscars, if you want to make that comparison, that the directors of the year, there were half women. And you never see that in Hollywood. But in porn, half of the directors nominated were women, which is really cool. So there's more and more of us, venturing in and changing the business.
Jacky, you just said 50%. I was actually going to ask the question, what percent directors, people behind the camera are women? And that surprises me. I would not have guessed that.
Yeah.
I would not have guessed that.
I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say, it sounds like it's even more than, like you said, on the Hollywood or television set.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not really sure why that is, but it is surprising, I guess. But I think a lot of people think porn is what you see just on the tube sites, which is primarily male-directed films. And so basically, there's a lot more than just what's on the tube sites. And there's a lot of women producers, and there have been for the last decade or so. And there's just more and more growing and growing. And yeah, we're kind of taking over.
I know.
It's our turn.
Yeah, we see on the site, which you are probably aware of, already working in the industry, like there's an influx of television shows, especially about female pornographers throughout history. I mean, there was The Deuce, there's that show Hard, I think it's Brazilian.
Yep.
There was like a French film that just came up, which the name's escaping me, but it's interesting to see these because they've all been historical as well, it seems like, I think with the exception of Hard, which made me think like I didn't know that there were that many female pornographers throughout history. Are you interested in the history of the business at all, like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was this woman, Candida Royale, who she has since passed away, but she really fought against the men to produce the kind of content she wanted. I mean, this was decades ago when women really had no voice in porn. So of course, like I think historically paying homage to any of the women that preceded me is huge, and we should do. And I'm glad that they're doing shows like this to kind of show people that women are sexual too. We like sex and we can produce it as well. So
right. We like those shows because they come with a lot of sexy scenes. So it's like history, education, sex scenes.
right.
Do you notice much of a difference between who's behind the scenes, you know, either gender wise or race wise, however, sexuality, and what we actually see in front of the camera?
You mean, is there like a discrepancy between?
I guess. Do you notice a difference between a male directed film and a female directed film?
Yeah. I mean, I think most of the women, it's funny because men want to focus on body parts and like close-ups of genitals or boobs or whatever. And with us, women, I mean, and again, I don't like categorizing women in that we all direct the same, because that's not true. But, you know, at least from my perspective, I like to see the man's reaction to things, and I like to see the connection and the kissing and things like that. Whereas in a lot of male porn, you'll just see this man will be a torso, a fucking torso, basically, and you'll never see his face. And it's because men watching porn don't really want to look at another man receiving pleasure. They just want to look at the woman kind of taking it. Mm-hmm. And so that's the difference that we're seeing with a lot of women.
Jacky, would you say that an adult film directed by a woman might naturally have a better storyline or more of a storyline, or is that urban legend? Because I just kind of feel like when I talk to women about porn, they much prefer the backstory than the actual, like you said, getting the camera right in there at the genitals. And I'm just wondering if that's true in your experience.
No, it's 100% true. I think it's just because women in general want to see a connection of some sort and some sort of storyline, because they don't want to just see two attractive people having sex, because there's really nothing at stake there, and there's really nothing interesting about that.
And I would argue that if you had two attractive people having sex and one had no storyline and one had a backstory and you knew where they were coming from in each instance, I would think the one with the storyline would be more erotic to men and women. It's not just one or the other.
Oh, I love that you said that.
Yeah.
No, I really believe that. I think the storyline, because there's so much to navigate out there, right? It's not that hard to find porn.
Right.
But if there's a great storyline, and you could also see two people having sex, I think it's going to be more erotic. And I think if men looked for that type of porn, they'd enjoy it even more than what they stumble upon on the internet.
I love that you said that. Oh.
I think you got a point there. Speaking of storylines, obviously more mainstream Hollywood films have plots supposedly. Were there any film sex scenes that particularly inspire you?
I mean, one of my favorites is Fatal Attraction. And I think that it really, I mean, back in that time, there were so many sexy movies, and they really did sex right in the 90s and late 80s. They really got it. It's sort of become a little bit more showcasey now, but I loved all of the sex scenes in Fatal Attraction. Michael Douglas never can do wrong in his sex scenes for some reason. Like, he's amazing. And that movie to me was always one of the sexiest.
And you know what else, Jacky? One of the things they did so well in that movie is the fact that if they had Ann Archer, who played his wife, be like this frumpy,
right,
smoking a cigarette, vacuuming it with her hair in curlers, it wouldn't have worked. But the fact that they showed her specifically in the bathroom in her underwear at the beginning of the movie, and you were like, holy crap, how sexy is that? That made everything else that happened more interesting and sexy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I thought that was brilliant that they did that.
Yeah. And I think I read that Glenn Close and Michael Douglas, they improvised the sex. And so when she turns on the water and is sort of like splashing it all over her body. But then when he drops his pants and is carrying her with the pants still around his ankles, that was all from them.
And that's what would happen in real life.
Exactly.
It's not perfect.
Right.
You know,
It's not
right?
perfect. And
Yeah.
I love that because you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it was so raw and like exciting. So I thought they nailed it. It was very good.
Very
No
cool.
pun intended.
Yeah, that is really that's a hot movie that so is unfaithful with our wonderful I guess you can call it producer Deanna told told me that was another movie scene that you really loved, Diane Lane and her sex scenes in Unfaithful, which she's phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, they all were phenomenal, but I think the first sex scene that you see between her and the younger guy, why I liked it is because normally in Hollywood they fade to black or they cross dissolve during when it gets hot, but because she was remembering and reflecting on it while she was on the subway, you're seeing all those moments and that you never lose the excitement because it's fading to black. Like you're getting to live it all out, and I loved that because you never see that either. So yeah, super hot scene. All of them were hot.
Yeah. It's really cool also to hear a cinematographer kind of talk about sex scenes, because you talk about the cuts and the fade to black and everything, and it's not just like they were hot, they're beautiful. So it's interesting to hear that perspective too, because you're right, there's so much more into it. There's obviously, there's so much like dressing that you have so that we can see this titillating scene.
Yes.
Are there any performers that you would love to work with that you haven't yet?
Oh my gosh. I've worked with so many. I mean, I don't even really think there's anyone that I honestly haven't worked with that I want to. I mean, unless they're retired or something. So I would have to say no. Well, I mean, what I do miss is a lot of them are under contract now with other studios, like Brazzers has a lot of the people under contract. So I miss working with Xander Corvus, who was a male performer. He always did a great job and was very sexy to women and very appealing, but he's under contract. So there's certain people I can't hire anymore.
Right.
But I've really gotten to work with most people, so I feel lucky.
What would you say you're most proud of throughout your career so far?
Oh my gosh. I mean, really honestly, the thing I'm most proud of is just maintaining my ethics and taking care of the performers and always looking out for their best interests, which I don't think has always been the case in our industry. I know that sounds really silly. It's like there's no, I mean, I'm proud of a lot of my work, but I think I'm more proud of how I carry myself as a person within the porn industry, which gets a really bad rap.
Right.
And I think that it's, people are very vulnerable in porn. So I think you need to have somebody on the other side of the camera that's looking out for their best interests. And I always do.
Yeah, that's
Very
a great.
cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's something to be proud of. You're being a good person. That's great. Well, are there any projects that you're working on that you are able to tell us about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on a new line for Bellessa Films, which Bellessa is very female centric. They're very geared towards the female gaze, but now they're doing a lot of reality based stuff, which is so exciting and real and raw. So we're doing this line called Blind Date, where we set up the performers and they don't know who their respective talent is. Obviously, I clear it beforehand, make sure that they're comfortable with a variety of people. But they get there and they have no idea who they're working with. And there's this rawness and excitement, and they get to have sex however they want, for however long they want. They do any positions they want. It ends when they want. So it's putting the power back in their hands. And it's really exciting to watch because performers usually are given choreographed scenes to do.
Hold on, Jackie, I'm writing that down real quick.
And is that episodic?
It will be. So they'll be releasing, and we've done something similar called Bellessa House, where we took performers with real life stories, like maybe they dated at one point and now they're reconnecting. So this is a spin-off of that, where they won't know who they're paired with, but it's really interesting to watch how adult performers have sex when nobody's telling them what to do, and it's so much more erotic.
That's so exciting. Yeah.
It is, and they love it. They love it. So yeah.
I bet, I wonder when you said that about them having so many choreographed scenes, how much creative leeway are they given in scenes? Like, are they able to make suggestions usually on set of what, well, I would do this differently or whatever?
I mean, it depends on the studio. So like certain studios require 4 minutes of this, 4 minutes of that, whatever. For me, I just say I want them to have the connection that the characters that they're playing would have.
Mhm.
And they absolutely can choose what positions they want to do. But I also tell them, hey, time to come, step into the scene. And, that's normally how it goes, is that they're on a time limit and that kind of thing.
Mhm. That's cool. We're excited about this reality thing. We're excited for you. Is there anything in particular you want to leave everyone with today? Someplace they can find you?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram. My name, Jacky St James, and I try and stay off Twitter because it's so volatile, but I'm occasionally there. Same name.
Um, all right. Thank you so much, Jacky. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie. That was great. Thank you.
You guys are great. Thank you.
All right. We'll see y'all next time. Thank you.